Fasten your seatbelt as we take you on this smooth ride.
Let's go!
It's the morning drive on 103.5 Bola FM, keeping your morning engaging as we take you through the smoothest ride on radio.
From 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
Getting your morning inspired, be informed, let's interact only on the morning drive.
Make it a date with Martin Efanshuku, aka Meta.
And Christy, aka Emenari, aka Classy.
From Monday to Friday, from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
On the morning drive.
103.5 FM DSN. Good morning and welcome to Ebona, the 103.5 FM today, the 29th day of November 2023, and the time is a minute past the hour of 7 this Wednesday morning. It is time for newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to headlines on Nigerian newspapers, but before we do that, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast, conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and all right to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that the complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also, remember to put your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that a complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of NBC. Your right to quality broadcasting.
You're welcome back to newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news making the headlines on The Guardian newspaper, Leadership, Vanguard, Punch, Sun, Daily Post, The Nation, This Day, and if time permits, we're also going to take a look at Nigerian Tribune. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. I am Martin. Let's get started with the Guardian newspaper this morning. Tinubu seeks Senate validation for $8.6 billion, 100 million euros loan approved by Buhari government. Ogun government to distribute 5,000 C of O Friday. Desert Medical partners FRSC to enhance road safety in Gombe. Federal Capital Territory police nab one chance gangs alleged killer of employer. Jega asks lawmakers to prescribe cross-carpeting by politicians once INEC unbundled. After $3 billion crude deal, additional, once against resource-backed debts. Lawyers urged federal government, Inspector General of Police to tackle menace of land grabbers in Lagos. Police arrest politician, others over 607 million naira scam. At the guidance lecture, Tinubu pledges more powers to states, local councils. AGF urges state to implement financial autonomy for judiciary. Fuel subsidy removal has battered us with hardship pains, says pensioners. Government studying moribund Benue-owned firms for revival, says Alia. Again, Navy intercepts vessel with illegal petroleum products. Adelabu unveils Power Ministry's short-term focus. Anyoko, Iwanyanwu head Mwabweze Burial Committee. Edo Deputy Governor alleges intimidation by Obaseki. Lagos Task Force warns against closure of roads for social events. Appeal Court sacks Nasarawa Speaker, affirms Abu as Taraba Governor. Fashola Adebulugbe. Others back doctoral degree at Uniben convocation. Fashola Adebulugbe. Others bag doctorate degrees at Uniben convocation. Education Minister seeks judicious use of $1.2 billion World Bank loan for adolescent girls' education. Era of budget preparation by ministries, departments, agencies gone in Kogi, says Bello. Police arrest 3 over gateway poly robbery, sexual assault. HOMEF seeks restoration of Ondo settlement amid raging inferno. PDP women leader flees alleged attack on peaceful protesters in Nasarawa. Missing Fulani leader found dead in Plateau. NICO takes Nigerians on effects of African time as annual roundtable begins. Sierra Leone, ECOWAS delegation pledges commitment to democracy. Foundation decry nonchalant attitudes by Nigerians to medical checkup. FCT police nab notorious Abuja one-chance gangs, suspected killer of employer. WARIF educates on rape, sexual violence as global event holds. Amid rising Medicare, NHIA tips Nigeria on universal health coverage by 2030. Reps panel queries ministry for allegedly sinking borehole at 25 million naira. My reforms aren't to punish Nigerians, Tinubu clarifies. Over 27 million kids driven into hunger, malnutrition by extreme weather. Federal government begins Emefiele's trial on alleged 1.2 billion naira procurement fraud. Military officers undergo training to boost maritime security. Customs seize 11 exotic cars in Niger, Kogi. LASMA impounds vehicles for floating traffic laws. Youth group decries do or die politics in Kanu. Suspected bandits slain police boss in Delta. Abia introduces whistle-blowing policy, stops unverified workers' salaries. Lulu Bridges bags leadership award. Tinubu canvasses agricultural scientists' support for diversified economy. Fire raises filling station, injures staff in Rivers. Court fixes December 5th hearing on Rivers Assembly crisis. Security operatives kill 3 terrorists in Castena. Recover motorcycle. ACF mourns Dora Miller, Akanya. Sound Gandhi Olaoye's coronation holds December 14th to 19th. Sound Gandhi Olaoye's coronation holds December 14th to 19th. Group inspires African youth to embrace Ake festivals offerings for positive impact. Oyo Assembly urges Makinde to resolve boundary dispute. Goethe Institute holds climate culture conversation. Ebosa Osahe calls for a new framework of federalism in Nigeria. NICO takes Nigerians on effects of African times as annual roundtable begins. Guardian at 40, Akunwumi Adeshina calls for poverty eradication, not alleviation. Wigwe University commits to local excellence, global impact through education. Blockade of inner streets for parties, social events no longer tolerated. Lagos Task Force. Fintry increases Adamawa Corpus monthly allowance with 10,000 naira. British Council. Others move to foster inclusion, equity in education. Tinubu seeks Senate validation for $8.6 billion, 100 million. We've taken this. Court adjourns Emefiele's trial to January 2024. Tinubu jets out for COP28 climate summit in Dubai. Nigeria's waterways. Nigeria waters now secured for local international trade. Navy ship. Federal Executive Council approves 3.2 billion naira for baggage scanners at 5 airports, reveals Kiamo. NYSC swears in 2031 Youth Corps members in Nasarawa. NYSC swears in 2031 Youth Corps members in Nasarawa. United Nations, federal government underscore need for data visualization. Man, 41, in court for alleged reckless driving, causing death. Police arrest MD of private security firm in Anambra. Reps promise to end strikes in universities. House of Reps to investigate EFCC reported attempt to breach court order in Emefiele's case. I met non-functional schools, health centers, others in Osun, says Adeleke. Appeal Court throws out Cole's petition against Rivers Governor Fubara. University of Ilorin approves 14-day paternity leave for male workers. NALDA records bumper rice and maize harvest across states. Federal government proceeds with unambitious budget, proposes 27.5 trillion naira next year. That's the much we can take from the Guardian newspaper this morning. And from the Guardian newspaper, we'll flip over to Leadership newspaper. Tinubu takes renewed hope to Saudi Arabia and Germany. Appeal Court verdict. APC youth group alleges mayhem plot in Kanu. Governor Abiodun gives 3 best graduating students 2 million naira each. Engineers hail President Tinubu on road regeneration plan. Lawmakers demand action against abduction, killing in Abuja. Abbas to meet Foreign Affairs Minister over absence of Nigeria's mission in Iraq as we move further away from democracy. House steps into Obaseki, Oba of Rift. DPO's mother. Court grants 2 monarchs, others bail. Nyerere, lesson from Tanzania. Black Friday hype in Nigeria and its history. Northern senators want electricity restored in Niger Republic. Tinubu seeks approval to borrow $8.699 billion, 100 million pounds. Judges accommodation. Wike orders infrastructure of 1.2 billion naira fraud. Kanu governorship appeal. Council's wrath over clerical error. Collective investment schemes grow by 581 billion naira in 10 months. Lagos government seeks public help over boy who boasted of raping girl in viral video. 433 foreign trained doctors fail MDCN qualifying examination. Insurgency. Defense ministers charge troops on professionalism. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Leadership newspaper this morning. Army condemns attack on patrol vehicles over appeal court verdict on Nasarawa Guba. Institute of Chartered Chemists holds refresher workshop induction. Flight diversion. NCAA risks riot act to operators. Issues fresh guidelines for wet lease. Governor Otu adds new. FCT police arrest 1 chance robbers after stealing 1.2 million naira from victims. Distillers rewards distributors with launches products in production in Jigawa. Engineering critical in achieving economic growth, says Speaker Abbas. That's the much we can take from the Leadership newspaper this morning. And from the Leadership newspaper, we'll flip over to Vanguard newspaper. Why Ondo Deputy Governor Ayedatiwa was asked to write a resignation letter. Speaker. Despite Cold War, Wike won't backpedal on 8 years for Fubara, Ibini. Ex-petroleum ministers' corruption. Ex-petroleum ministers' corruption record unbeaten. T.Y. Danjuma. The Palestinians and Israelis hate without end. Tinubu's new $8.6 billion loan bid takes debt above $51.759 billion. Tinubu's new $8.6 billion loan bid takes debt above $51.759 billion. Despite Cold War, Wike won't backpedal with taking this. Automation of passport application 99% done to go live next week. Minister. Anguish and lamentations as erosion ravages Igbo communities. Is possible to $1 trillion economy in 10 years. Tinubu. Pensioners to Tinubu. Subsidy removal has brought pain, frustration. Why Obasanjo's quarrel with democracy. Nigeria's miserable BRINCS ambition. Police demand 30,000 naira to allow in to receive medical attention. Ex-Guba aspirant alleges. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Taraba. Appeal court upholds election of Governor Kepas. Strikes out NMPP petition. Taraba. Appeal court upholds election of Governor Kepas. Strikes out NMPP's petition. INEC struggling to breed. Yaga calls for unbundling. Supreme Court will soon get 21 full justices. CJN Ariwola. Tinubu rise Senate on 2024 budget presentation. Why Ondo Deputy Governor Ayedatiwa was asked to write a resignation letter. Speaker. 4 killed as police gunmen exchange fire in Anambra community. Army confirms death of soldier in Rivers boat mishap. Police apprehend 3 over alleged robbery, raping of Ogun police students. Okobwe community, how abandoned Lagos road makes students pass through hell to school. And that's the much we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning. From the Vanguard newspaper, we'll flip over to the Punch newspaper. Tinubu will take a decision on Nigeria Air, says Kiyamo. Fresh protest rocks Kanu over appeal court judgment. Borno villagers jubilate over Boko Haram commanders killing. Lagos state government orders a removal of buildings on road setbacks. Judges shouldn't determine poll winners. Bode George. 433 foreign-trained doctors failed MDCN qualifying exam. Committee unveils Alaba Lawasen's burial plans. Stakeholders engagement key to Niger Delta development. Obuku. Lagos task force crushes 1,500 seized motorcycles. Judges shouldn't determine poll winners. Bode George. TB spreads in Borno worrisome, says World Health Organization. Reps begin 183.9 billion naira COVID-19 fund mismanagement probe. Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps sets stolen crude ablaze in Imo. Tinubu names Akinyeleru NMPC share, reappoints Kyari CEO. And best to succeed Obaseki, Shaibu declares. Sound gets staff of office December 16th. Court horse removal. COVID-19 reduced primary school teachers by 29%. UBEC. United Nations, US, hail Israel Hamas ceasefire extension. Ondo lawmakers meet today, may declare Ayedatiwa acting governor. And that's the much we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. And from the Punch newspaper, will flip over to the Sun newspaper. Electoral reform. Jega calls for proscription of cross-carpeting, unbundling of INEC. Reprieve as Wike directs FCT officials to provide infrastructure in judges' sites. Power Minister unveils short-term focus. COVID-19 funds. Reps query ministry for spending 25 million naira per borehole. Court upholds election of Abia lawmaker Erundu Jr. Abia stops payment of salary of unverified staff. Kaduna women raises alarm over forceful carving out of federal quarters. Kaduna women raises alarm over forceful carving out of federal quarters. Social protection. Kaduna stakeholders strategize ahead next policy review. Edo Guba. Labour Party aspirant warns against high cost of funds inducement. Defense Minister, service chiefs visit troops in Medugri. Stop increasing hardship of the masses. Prophet Olu Alo tells privileged Nigerians. Reappointment. Civil society organizations hail Tinubu over NMPCL boss Mele Kyari. How off-season elections confirmed Ganduje's capability to lead APC. Murder of 2 cops. Commissioner of Police deploys special forces. Reactions as church in Abia cancel wedding over pregnant bride. Governor Sule's return welcomed with jubilation amidst opposition's protest accusations. Ahemba, consider merit. Unwritten code in appointment of Supreme Court justices. Civil society organizations. Lawyers tell NJC. Minister, Nigerian Minister of Humanitarian Affairs calls for regional unity to tackle poverty in West Africa, empowering menstrual health. Wunti Al-Kahi Foundation's impactful initiative at GCC Kafin Mandaki. Let's call a spade a spade. APC stateswoman Dr. Mrs. Lillian Chinasa Abazwe wades into Abia APC crisis. Washington. Obafemi Awolowo University student stops after 58 hours. Anambra Monarch Onyudo applauds Soludo for road rehabilitation. Renaming airport after Chinua Achebe. Akuta got sent to shippers. Council will perform wonders. Reps deputy spokesman. Access Bank partners A-Solar to power up Nigerian small medium enterprises and rural communities with eco-friendly energy solution. Access Bank partners A-Solar to power up Nigerian small medium enterprises and rural communities with eco-friendly energy solutions. Uchenna Victor Moses, a visionary leader, is a catalyst for change irrespective of geographic location. Apostle Suleiman feeds migrants at Mexico-US border, donates 100,000 pesos. That's the much we can take from the Sun newspaper this morning. And from the Sun newspaper, we'll flip over to Daily Post newspaper. Desian Madeke excelled in corruption, sets a record nobody has broken. Danjuma. Kogi will overtake Lagos in terms of development. Yahaya Bello. Court dismisses Boko Haram suspect's suit over alleged illegal detention. Is treasonable. Federal government on allegation of Wadas colluding with Boko Haram. Army reacts to attack on troops by Nasarawa protesters. Abbas tax federal government engineers on synergy for development. Automation of passport applications 99% done. Minister. Northern Senators Kakus urges Niger military junta to restore democratic rule. Speaker Abbas to meet Foreign Affairs Minister over absence of Nigeria's mission in Iraq. Appeal Court affirms Kefas Abu as Taraba governor. Bishop Oyedepo's son, Isaac, unveils his ministry. And won't lose focus, Governor Fubara. And from the Daily Post newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nation newspaper. IPAN probes unethical practices by labs. Give financial autonomy to judiciary. AGF tells governors. Imo. Oyetola in bilateral talks with Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Brazil, Jamaica. Senate passes 57 billion naira police trust fund budget. About possible breakdown of law and order in Edo, Reps tells NSA police. 2023 Electoral Act best in Nigeria's democratic history, says Jega. Appeal Court dismisses Coles, Epus, Itubos, Bridges suit against victory. Desiana rattled my trust in women, says Danjuma. Our plans for fair recruitment by ILO, International Labour Organization, employers, federal government to empower 2,000 women in agribusiness. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. Marketing Edge faults NIMN's claims on breach of act, demands apology. Urban farming will ensure environmental sustainability. FEM holds Median Education Summit award in Lagos. Akpabio congratulates Enudem on SAN title. Advertising firm Academy partner on digital literacy. Court to hear Rivers Assembly crisis suit December 5th. Alleged 1.2 billion naira fraud. MFLA yet to meet bail conditions. Notorious hoodlum Hunter surrenders to police in Kano. Senate passes bill establishing Federal University of Technology in Ekiti. Customs hand over $54,330 tramadol bribe money to EFCC. Customs hands over $54,330 tramadol bribe money to EFCC. And that's the much we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning. You are listening to newspaper headlines on Airborne at the 103.5 FM. We will now go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. Please stay with us.
His Royal Highness Igwe Chibike Ezeaganama Nketo Ezediorama, one of Okuzu. Special guest of honor, Chief Tochukwu Paul Ezodo, Ozakupene Kutego, one of Okuzu. Patron of the club, Chief Dr. Ogwejoko Udago Ezedibia Okuzu. Matron of the club, Mrs. Ali Ogechukwu. Chief Dr. Chedemma Aduaka Okoye, also Sinubi, one of Okuzu, aka Oriana Okeke, Ochezo Onyegworoya, Honorable Uchenna Okapo, Wiper, Omelora, Oyi na Omombara, MC of the day, Prince Onyeka Oreki Chakazum of Ebona, the 103.5 FM, Ogademe na Amabu Ozu Village, Okuzu, Oyi Local Government Area, Anambra State. Na Sunday, 3rd December 2023, time about 12 noon. Mr. Nwapo Onyebuchi Hilary, aka Otimpu Jesus, Chairman Bilaka Nozia.
Lord, I just wanna thank you.
Hooray! Youth Night and Papa's birthday celebration is here. Oge we all got the behuge. Makananda Trabegani Jihobi on the Rino Zuzuke. You let that Tamanoko of Praise Adoration Ministry in Ogida and you could name with Tagi Iho Mapor. Youth Night and Papa's birthday celebration. In case you have understanding your destiny. They want to hear about Karaka Gate. Oga Malita Nabali Rabon is so long called November. One run about the rest of November. Oga na Malita Nelekari in Kabali, no but in the Nile. Paul from Nogigo Liberate Tabernacle of Praise Adoration Ministry in Ogidi and Yoku. Ndigan on Iho Magunere, Apostle Dr. John Oka, Onye Denobia, Mabugan on Imo Gan, women of Bemoment, Tomoya, Pastor Obin and James Gisia Samawebia, Onyo de Kuku Chineke, Brother Christian Ewuna, youth leader, Nawazi Minister Ginika Wachuku, assistant youth leader, Sinyakwazerandi Ozo Chineke Teremano, Bambo Biaki, Sonyana Yabo, Obaki, Mendin Torobia, Youth Night and Papa's birthday celebration. Biaki Chopota Ihebo Akaraka Gi Epokola, Kakoroge Akoro, Jesus Bueze.
Maka this boy and our baby. That guy means for good.
Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Nabakoa production.
Police for vigilante.
Not my business.
When I will tell you, AJ radio drama, Erico. AJ radio drama, Erico, Ghana Dialogue every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Saturday, 3 o'clock p.m. Now, upon the 103.5 FM.
If you move and finish your business,
Amara ni rewa di amo. Uno suna kalo na ako na neri ko na e. Nke kazi ku kya una ana mamu suna ya maule si.
Epokwana ka call dinka call. A lot of people complain about not using their talents the way they want to. Utilize this opportunity today. Are you an aspiring actor, musician, dancer? Here is the opportunity you have been waiting for. Register with Babola Productions at Ebona, the 103.5 FM today to make your God-given gift money-making venture using your God-given gift today. For more information, call 080-3916-7049. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets? our community, our society in general. Street Report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonade FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be.
Our government, whatever.
Street Report is here to make sense of it all. Street Report is causing social change across your streets. In your community. Street Report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifanyu, as our number the force every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebonade 103.5 FM as Street Reports on Foods.
In your face.
On Emazine Ebonade corner
24/7, 24/7.
You're welcome back to Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we are live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. We are on to this day newspaper. President seeks Senate approval for $8.7 billion, 100 million euros loans approved by Buhari's government. Senate approves 57 billion naira as Nigerian Police Trust Fund 2023 budget. Naira stable at parallel market. Depreciates at official 1 and E. I and E to 1,155 naira, 881 naira. Naira stable at parallel market. Depreciates at official I and E to 1,155 naira, 881 naira. Tinubu to Nigerians. Present hardship temporary. Benefits will be permanent. Federal government woos foreign mining investors with low production costs. Senate approves. We've taken this. COP28 Climate Summit. Tinubu off to Dubai to deliver national statement. Canvas financial support for third world. Inflation. Commercial partners urges investors to hedge, diversify assets. Sanwo-Olu pledges to deploy technology for sustainable solution to local challenges. Alleged procurement breach. EFCC witnesses exonerate Emefiele as trial commences. Jacob. Technology will remain crucial in bridging financial gap. Jacob. Technology will remain crucial in bridging financial gap. MTN, Dangote Cement, others weather challenges, generates 13.94 trillion naira revenue. Analysts commend federal government's projected $2 billion revenue from expatriate employment, boosting food production. 35 million Nigerians may face extreme poverty in 2025 except federal government tackles inflation, trade barrier. Ekiti, PPDC tax government on maximizing public fund. Elan, leasing industry record 3.18 trillion naira transactions in 2022, grew by 23%. Appeal Court affirms Kefa's Fubara's election. Much ado about Imo 2023 gubernatorial poll. Adeleke, 1 year in saddle as Osun governor. As Tinubu brokers peace in Ondo politics. PDP crisis. National Working Committee counters article supporters, insist party in safe hands. Amadu, Fintri, and the Northeast governors Arise budget for growth and expansion. Arise budget for growth and expansion. Ize Eyamu remains main issue in Edo's political narrative. And that's the much we can take from this day newspaper this morning. And from this day newspaper, we'll flip over to Nigerian Tribune. Maritime reps probe MPA orders over alleged $7 billion annual revenue. Reps pass 61.554 billion naira FCT supplementary budget through second reading. Speaker Abbas appoints Dogowa, Betara, Wasa, others as the regional zonal caucus leaders. Federal government woos foreign mining investors with lower production costs. GBV, state governments urged to enforce Child Rights VAPP Act. Osun government presents staff of office to Oba Adebayo Foforoji. Reps Committee on AIDS, Tuberculosis, Malaria launches commemoration campaign work Friday. Reps Committee on AIDS, TB, Malaria launches commemoration campaign work Friday. Oyedepo's son unveils a ministry, receives blessings from father. Remove president's power to appoint INEC chairman, commissioner, civil society organizations charge reps. HIV AIDS, over 46,000 tests positive between 2020 to 2023, Ogun Health Commissioner. Accommodation for judges, Wike directs FCDA to provide infrastructure. Speaker Abbas urges engineers to back 2.3 trillion naira dollar infrastructure plan. Speaker Abbas urges engineers to back 2.3 trillion dollar infrastructure plan. Nigeria's future prosperity tied to sustainable agro-industrial economy report. Idris Abu Karim releases new album in solidarity with Kanu governor. And that's the much we can take from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. That will also mark the conclusion of all that we have for you on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. We'll now flip over to our WhatsApp portal to bring you reactions this morning. From our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have a message coming from Comrade Manli Oduago from Odumobosi, and he says, honestly, our youths are the bedrock on which Nigeria is anchored, yet the government of the day is toying with their future and survival. I must confess, Nigerian youths have been abandoned and left to their fate, but have been inflicted by so many ills, among which are spiral unemployment and social disorientation. The question yearning for attention is, why is the government not taking any special interest to lay a sound and solid foundation for the youth and prepare them for the future? May God help us. Comrade Manli Uduago from Odumobosi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Comrade Ibudu from Abagana, and he says, our Nigerian government knows how to borrow but does not know how to manage the money for the betterment of the country, but borrows in the government in this kind of borrowing. What? Okay. And he says, if care is not taken, the next government will have to inherit it. I pray as we hope for better Nigeria soon. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. This one is coming from Waloto Patrick from Monteja, and he says, Tinubu seeks validation of loans approved by Buhari's administration. That's very good. But let me ask, who will pay these loans? I think the problem of Nigeria is not how to borrow loans, but how to utilize the so borrowed so as to ensure that at the end of the day, the overall aim of securing the loan is not defeated. Similarly, for Tinubu to promise devolution of powers to states and local governments is a welcome development, but my fear is that it might be a political statement. But if it's not, I think that would be the best thing to happen to this country, because if that happens, the mad rush by state governors to pay common civil servant salaries will be drastically reduced. This is coming from Maloto Patrick from Monteja. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from also Francis Nnamani from Amagunze in Enugu State. And it says, rising debt profile, dangerous to economy, says AGF. That's true. Efforts should be put in place to harness Nigeria's abundant natural resources to boost Nigeria's economy rather than borrowing spare. May God help us. He continued and says, fuel subsidy removal has brought pains and hardship to Nigerians. NUP tells Tinubu honestly, the average Nigerians are really passing through serious and severe hardships and difficulties orchestrated by subsidy removal. Which way in Nigeria? May God help us. Also, Francis Nnamani from Amagunze in Enugu State. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. This one is coming from Christian Ufondo from Onitsha, and he says, now I have learned that Buhari planned to borrow much money before he left office, and that is what Tinubu wants to embark on. Everybody should agree with me that Buhari did not and will never ever love Nigeria. Hence, he has not been satisfied with all his bad governance to Nigeria, and he was in office. And because he felt not to have sucked Nigerian purse dry, he planned for a huge amount of money to borrow in order to see that there has never been a breathing space for the citizenry. And he continued and says, judges should not determine the poll winners. Yet, I quite agree with the person who made this statement. The winners should be determined by the number of people that voted for a particular candidate, not court, because court and judges might be bought over by any person, and that has much more money than the other. And those candidates that are from the ruling party will have some advantages over the candidate that are from the lower parties. Therefore, judiciary cannot be relied on. Hence, it is flexible in nature, especially in Nigeria, where the flexibility among our judges has become the order of the day. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, we have this message coming from Pauline Wizu from Onitsha. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we have a message coming from John Ume Okozo, and he says the ongoing demolition of Igbo people's properties in Lagos currently is an organized plan and indication that we are no longer accepted. And he says it is a punishment being meted on the Igbos for not voting for Tinubu and APC in the last general elections, because Tinubu said during his electioneering campaign that if the Igbos first to vote for him and he later become president, that our marginalization. He can say, so that is exactly what we are seeing today. But if we, the Igbos residing in Lagos, will begin to relocate now to our land, believe me, in the next 5 years, Lagos will be a shadow of itself, because Igbos are the real owners and developers of Lagos, since we are no longer accepted. He said, let us come back home and begin to develop our land, because what the Igbos have outside our land is far bigger than what we have in Igbo land. John Ume, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a message. It's coming from Engineer Ebuka Joshua Dawson. He's joining us from 33 Onisha, and he says, reps querying ministry for spending 25 million naira per borehole on COVID-19 funds is welcome development. The amount of money per borehole can dug 50 boreholes at my town. And he says, Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, directed the FCDA to provide infrastructure in areas earmarked for building of justices' residential houses. It's a good work. It's a welcome development. Kudos to him. This is coming from Engineer Ebuka Joshua Dawson from 33. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from a famous Christian from Ifite village, Aguluzibo, and he says it was a Black Tuesday in Aguluzibo yesterday. I condemned the gruesome killing of 2 security men in Aguluzibo by unidentified gunmen. It's a barbaric act and vicious attack on our brothers. Quick recovery to our other security men that sustained degrees of injuries. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a message. It's coming from Amaishi Anene from Uruole, Nkolo Gidi, and it says, when will this country called Nigeria will stop too much borrowing? It's getting out of hand. Let our president lead us well. God bless Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will now flip over to our SMS portal to bring you more reactions. As we await network on our SMS portal, we got a message that is coming from Chike Obata from Obinetiti Okozu, and it says, yes, poor subsidy removal caused so much problem in this country called Nigeria. Tinubu jetting out is much. Tinubu promised Nigeria all times. Let him return for subsidy. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. This one is coming from the boss from Okozu, and it says Tinubu need new bids of billions of dollars in trying to destroy this nation or protect Mazen Nandekano. Was can not okay. Mazen Nandekano, okay, perfect. Mazen Nandekano was want to come to pass, and he says a boy boasting of raping is mentally challenged. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from T-Man. He's joining us from Ifite Nando. And it says Tinubu seeks Senate validation for $8.6 billion loan. My question is, are they borrowing for consumption or productions? Because all these excessive borrowings without nothing to show for it isn't good for this country. If they borrow for production, Nigeria will be a better country. T-Man from Ifite. Ikem Ifite Nando. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Udumo Obosi from Young Grandma, and she says, I didn't get the word that Kogi will take over Lagos in terms of development. Does it mean that Kogi will develop Lagos more than Ndibo? Now, it is obvious there are reasons why they face demolition here, okay, since this administration, and he continued, okay, it's the same. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Valentine Edene from Mumpo, and it says, why most of Nigerian presidents cannot stay in office complete a month without traveling. If here in Nigeria is not conducive for president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you can make it to be, because those places you do travel to was built by human, not God. Nigerian news is not what you can wake up, want to listen without checking your BP, because it may worsen your health if BP is high. All I know is that the only stupid one would like to. Okay, thank you, Valentine. And he said, all I know is that the only stupid one would like to go to hell after this present hell in Nigeria. Valentine and the net from well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message coming from Ndubisoka from Omeze Omonachi, and he says, Japa syndrome. Reps reported that 5 words in LUTH short. Federal government, as a matter of urgency, address this catastrophe looming to destroy Nigeria. Lives of many Nigerians are in danger if this Japa syndrome continues. My worry is that governments are insensitive to the plight of the masses. Ndubisoka from Momo Omonachi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now let's flip over to our Facebook portal to bring you more reactions. From our Facebook portal, we have this message coming from Ozo Francis Omaga Nnamani from Amagunze in Enugu State, and he says, job creations and fight against hunger. Our focus, says Tinubu. That's a good one. However, Mr. Tinubu should begin to diversify Nigeria's economy, revitalize our moribund industries, and create an enabling environment for the citizenry to boost job creations and productivity. Revenue generation, and improve the standard of living. May God help us. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri, and she says this government has succeeded in mortgaging the future of our children and those in womb of time through excessive borrowing with absolutely nothing to show for it. Are we borrowing for consumption or production? We are borrowing for debt servicing. How come 98% go into debt servicing? We are borrowing hard currencies and will pay back in hard currencies, putting our finances under pressure. Why can't government cut down high cost of governance and flamboyant spendings? Do we continue in this vicious circle? So worrisome. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara. From our SMS portal this morning, we have a message coming from Iweka Ifani from Ikenga Ogiri, and he says the political class who are busy making life unbearable to the poor Nigerians should ask themselves. Your message is not complete, but thank you so much for joining us this morning. We also have this message that says the Italian. Okay, I said, okay, let me see if I can get it. And he says, a land of bright and full of opportunities for all. APC government have succeeded putting Nigerians into stocky situation. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And there's no name to it, and your message is not complete. But thank you so much for joining us still. And with that message, this is the spot where we'll call it a day on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember, it comes your way weekdays in the morning. Once it's 7 o'clock. So keep a date. And don't touch the dial of Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Once it's 8:20. We'll be back with Birthday Flash. Until we meet again. I am Martin. Have a wonderful morning.
Mgbe maka this boy ya na-agba enku. That guy na-enye nsogbu.
Ebona the 103.5 FM. Napakoa production.
Police for vigilante.
Not my business.
When I will tell you SGJ radio drama, Erico. Akoko internally mobile.
Don't go to your head.
I'm on smile. Thank you.
HJ radio drama, Erico, Ghana Dialogue every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Saturday, 3 o'clock p.m. Now, Ebona, the 103.5 FM.
If you move and finish your business, yeah.
Amara m ibe nwa dịrị ahụ ụbọchị m na-aga n'obodo m na-anụ akọ na ya na-erikọ n'anya nke ka dịkwa nke bụ na ana m ahụzikwu n'anya ma ọ bụ n'ezie
A lot of people complain about not using their talents the way they want to. Utilize this opportunity today. Are you an aspiring actor, musician, dancer? Here is the opportunity I've been waiting for. Register with Bola Production at Ebona, the 103.5 FM today to make your God-given gift money-making venture using your God-given gift today. For more information, call 080-3916-7049. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebona FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be.
Our government.
Street report is here to make sense of it all. Street report is causing social change across your streets. In your community. Street report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifan number the first every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebona 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds
In your face.
on Emas in Ebona the corner
24/7, 24/7.
Biko nwanne m bịa kene ka m jụọ gị
kedu ebe m ga-enweta ezigbo MC maka mmemme a na-akwado?
Ị ka ma ajụ kpọọ Shaka the latest MC in town ka occasion gị anwa bụrụ ịgba. Ị na-achọ ezigbo MC ọ bụ DJ na agbamakwụkwọ go, agbamnkwụ go, child dedication go, imepe ụlọ, ọ bụzi ụmụ akwụkwọ na-eme